what I do is I take everything and I turn it into a sociological experiment because I get bored at work, right? So you'd probably say that I have those stand-up comic tendencies where you go into a normal job and you can't stop just pointing shit out. So anyway, here's my jumping off point. How did we get to a place, and I'm talking specifically about black people who listen to rap music and go to clubs and are into that whole culture, rap music, nightclubs, drinking, cars, bike clubs. How did we get to a place where the cool thing became you can't smile, you can't express happiness? That's my jumping off point, because I worked at a club called Adriana's. It's just south of Chicago. It's in Markham, Illinois. And you'd have 1,000 people on Saturday night and nobody's smiling. And it just seemed to me that it made it more tense than it needed to be. But that was the status quo. Now, question. Geezer having a whinge, or is there something there?
Well, I think that the most important question is, you said, what is cool? And whatever becomes cool in any culture then becomes what the next generation copies, and the behavior that everybody is trying to emulate. And I would say here's sort of coming from my world of science. So go back to 1776. You got a scientist like Ben Franklin. Now, Ben Franklin is also a comedian, right? He's a humorist. And Ben Franklin was funny as shit. If you read some of his stuff, like Poor Richard's Almanac, there's a lot of funny observational humor. And he was also a businessman. And he was doing all these different things. And that made it richer. But now you look at what's happened with science, and it's very much the same thing that you're talking about, where everybody has become super serious, nobody can take a joke, and we all spend our time posing about like how intense we are and blah, 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 blah. And what's the result is that it just makes the whole environment more tense than it needs to be.
Unapproachable.
And unapproachable. And that's bad for science, because science is fundamentally about experimentation. Experimentation is about play. It's about play with ideas. And you can't play with ideas in academia, which is why I think that podcasting is actually a much better place to be moving human knowledge forward.
Play.
So, yeah, play. And I think that's the point, is that it doesn't matter whether you're talking about the African American community or you're talking about the scientific community. There are certain emotional dynamics and certain emotional environments that are good for sort of creativity and innovation and discovery and pushing things forward. And an environment where everybody is trying to be hard, and a lot of scientists are trying to be hard in their own way.
The irony is, in that nightclub, you got 1,000 people walking around calling each other player. What up, player? Are you good, player? I'm chilling, player. Hunter, I'm a player. I like to play with people. And I'm telling you, what they're doing ain't playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Ironic.
Right? So it is incredibly ironic, but I think that's where it's so important. So much of what makes these conversations possible is what opens up human beings and what allows human beings to explore and play. And then it starts to be like, oh, that's not a thing that works for any human. And so that's how I think we can have these conversations more productively, is putting these things side by side. And what's great about idea sex is that I would never, ever in a million years have thought to put sort of the culture of science and try to be hard in science next to sort of African American rap culture.
That was awesome, wasn't it?
Yeah. And that's the point, is that's what's great about having these sorts of conversations, is that you make connections you never would have thought to make before.